Hey Philly, we're out here on a roof job. This is approximately a 100-year-old row home. You can see all the row home roofs over the top here. I just wanted to kind of show you why you should think of your roof as one solid structure that needs to be dealt with as a whole. So out back here we have the flat portion of the roof, commonly referred to as torch down in these days, and it comes up to a very straight wall right here, and that's all one piece. And then at the top of the wall it turns into a gable, which actually meets up with in the front here a gambrel style roof structure over a bay that's over a porch, and I'll show you what that means in a few minutes. But just for comparison, here's the neighbor's roof. This is what it looks like before you start taking it apart. These tiles are getting up in years. If they're not cracked, they're still usable, but as you can see, a lot of them crack. People just kind of patch them over the years. We got a hole there, got a hole up there, so they really need to be replaced. If you look over by the chimney real close, there's actually plant life growing in that crevice. So what we had over here was, even though it didn't look that bad, the area of the chimney over here, the flashing had failed. Couldn't really tell. You can still see a wet spot on the wood sheathing, and that also resulted in mortar washout of the chimney and also of the partition wall to the neighbor. So even though one of these roofs doesn't look particularly terrible, you have to consider what condition the flashings are actually going to be in. You've got, big valley flashings here, and back when these were put up, they weren't really using copper. Aluminum wasn't a thing yet. They were using solder seam tin. And most of this is just flat solder seam. That fails over time. The tin rusts through, things like that. And also the paper underneath, there's a piece of that left on this section, that will start to fail as well. Here's another example. These flashings are rusted through. That whole edge is completely rusted out. So, and that leads down into the scupper, which is also rusted out. And that's the collection point for water, where it comes down into the downspout in the gutter. So what we're going to end up having to do here is remove this cap that goes over the partition wall and the top portion of the fancy collection point down there. That's all going to have to come off. This is all going to have to be reflashed. All the paper gets replaced. Some of the sheathing over here is going to end up having to be replaced. We got mortar washout. That's going to have to be fixed. And these are things that you got to plan for, you got to think about, and again, this is why you really need to think of your roofing system, even if there's multiple portions of it, as one whole. Now we're going to go down to the porch roof now, so forgive the shaky camera. All right, so we're coming down the ladder here. We've got some fancy crown mold up here, and the old galvanized steel drip edge and flashing. That's going to have to be replaced because we're putting up asphalt shingle this time around. And come over here, you can see how this is a gambrel style on this side only, and that actually terminates into the flat roof of the porch. So if you do one or the other and you don't do both, you're creating yourself a nightmare, because all that flashing at the bottom there was rotted out. So you could put a brand new flat roof over top of what's here, which is what people do a lot to save money, and you're not going to fix the leaks, because the leaks are actually coming from the roof above it. You could put a brand new roof up there separately and not address these flashings down at the bottom, and you're still going to end up with leaks. So you could actually have a brand new roof, two brand new sections of the roof installed at different times, and never solve your leak because your flashings are a problem. Coming around here onto the front wall, these flashings continue for the flat roof up onto the stucco wall here. So this has been gone over with patching compound quite a few times, and as they say, I think that can's been kicked down the road too many times, so we're going to have to remove that, grind it out, put proper flashings at that joint, and clean up the stucco. And also, just so you can see what's going on, so This is the bottom portion of that drain from the upper roof for this side. So you can see how that's got rust streaking and hasn't been doing good for a while. So that is why you really need to think of your whole roofing system when you're thinking of it, instead of just thinking of it as, oh, I just need a new porch roof, or oh, I just need to replace the shingles on the fancy part on the front of my house. It's all interconnected in a lot of cases. So think about that, plan in advance, and you do the best job you can, and you'll never have to do it again. All right, signing off.